Now I got to.
Flowing water drips like honey, sweet to taste on burning lips. Wanna lie beneath the water, feeling icy fingertips. Soothing nectar to my body, wash the image from my eyes. Dirty streets of hungry people, drink the water, dry your eyes. Let's not look at the reflections, listen to the music made. Drinking water's ease the mind, thoughts of you begin to fade. Flowing water drips like honey, sweet to taste on burning lips. Wanna lie beneath the water, feeling icy fingertips.
The nation is under siege. The nation is under siege.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody. It's September the 29th, and it should be an interesting show because the Eagles lost, and we have two very unhappy campers here. This is what happens. It's a Philadelphia thing. Don't misunderstand us. We're from Bridgeton, but originally, at least for Dave, but we're really the Philadelphia metropolitan area, and it hurts. It really hurts. And Jason Hurts.
Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, Jason.
Jason Hurts.
Jason Hurts. I'm wrong. Okay, Jalen. Hurts.
So you were what? A minute into the show and you're already fucking up.
Okay. All right, let's get off the sports. Okay, first of all, if you are new to this channel, this is the Divided We Stand channel. We ask that you subscribe. We are not monetized, which means we don't earn any money on this. We're not asking for you for anything, for the exception of your participation, your interaction with us, so you may commiserate about this terrible situation. Not the Eagles game, but what is this constitutional crisis in the country, this election, which is, who knows what we have in store for us. Also, if you're unfamiliar with our Facebook group page, we do have a wonderful group page called the Divided We Stand group page. Many members. It's very, very successful. So we ask that if you are on Facebook, to please stop on by the Divided We Stand group page. You'll see it by the cover page, and that is a page with Kamala Harris, fittingly. We ask that you become a member there. So be all nice. It's that time again to introduce my compadre, my co-host, my friend, the former journalist, current podcaster, former teacher, an all-around pain in the ass. But he is David Price, and there he is from Arlington, Virginia. Dave?
From Arlington tonight. Next week, broadcasting from sunny Florida, as I want to go down and talk to Governor DeSantis about a few mistakes that he's made. So I'll be down there.
Where in Florida are you going again?
Actually, Orlando, not Disney. Maybe go to Universal.
You don't seem like the guy who likes to go on those rides to me.
Well, if Disney weren't so damn expensive now, as a lot of things, but I have friends who went to Disney as probably now, and they actually lived down in Orlando for a while. Well, they've gone every year for at least 40 years, and I couldn't do that. Once in a while, it's nice, to go. Just you maybe remember when you went as a kid, or when you took your child, or now when we've taken our grandchildren. So it's nostalgia, but it's sort of like it doesn't make much more sense in Disney. As you walk through in the old, pure Disney kind of thing. It makes about as much sense as Make America Great Again. Those days are gone, and they're fine. Put them in nostalgia. Okay, that's fine. I grew up with on Sunday nights, as so many of us did, who are now in our 70s and 60s. Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, and that was something to really look forward to. I mean, there weren't many colored TV shows. Bonanza was in color on Sunday night, and Wonderful World of Disney, and you just sat there and kind of mesmerized. And but as I say, something relegated to the past, and unfortunately, Donald Trump and the MAGA and the Republican Party, which isn't really the Republican Party anymore, they want to go back to something that wasn't even good when it was here. So I guess we'll jump right into it. Mr. Trump has been around and speaking, and every time he opens his mouth, I get more and more amazed. So I think I'll start with, the thing I really want to focus on, I'm not going to start with. He's just been having a rally while we were coming on, or a little bit before that. And he said something that if it doesn't disturb every American, then there's something wrong with any American that isn't disturbed by it. But let's just jump into his ego for a moment. And this was probably my favorite insane quote from Donald Trump this week. He said, he was talking about, doing this. He said, I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful. Let me repeat that. I, meaning Trump, could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful. Well, Donald, I have seen many, 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 many bodies more beautiful. And I think maybe what you need to do is look in a mirror, but that wouldn't help, right? But you know where you should go right now tonight? Vegas. I don't know if you heard what happened yesterday in Las Vegas. And Mr. Trump, did you hear?
No, I didn't. Well, maybe I did.
Okay,
no,
this is... No. Well, it's kind of something that would appeal to me. Nobody's taking credit for it yet, but right outside of Vegas, there is a 43-foot tall replica of Donald Trump naked, full body, with his tiny little pecker hanging there. Nobody's taking credit for it. But you remember,
it sounded like Trump there when you said that. You went that, like they did the facial thing.
I know
you did that.
Okay. I know I did it, but
did you do it on purpose, or would you just naturally do it?
No, I did it on purpose.
Okay.
So what happens is, how, Brian? I'm going to ask you, and of course, when I ask you, you're speaking for every man or every woman or every whatever, and obviously we try to encourage the people listening and watching and viewing, and which I notice every time you open your mouth gets less, but that's okay. What is he? Why? Let's do it. See, he makes me speechless. Or not speechless. Makes me sound like him. Why do you think he does say something like that? What is his purpose in saying, you have never seen a body so beautiful?
I mean, I could analyze that so many different ways, Dave. But
I
I'd
know.
say,
So do it.
From a very simple standpoint, the guy is nuts. He's
Yeah.
legitimately nuts. So whether he believes it or he doesn't believe it, I think at this point, for our own sanity, it's probably not even worth trying to figure him out. We just need him out of the way, and he can talk his shit as long as he's not president. And I think this is why this election's so important, because he can continue doing his shit, and he may even cause somewhat of a crisis, somewhat. But as long as he's not president, I think that if he loses and doesn't get away with trying to cheat and all that kind of shit, I think that you're going to see his demise like McCarthy very, very quickly. If he loses this election and then Harris is instated as president, that's it. He's going to go straight down the tube, because he's going to be approaching his 80s, and he's going to see that the party's going to leave him. Not so much the people, but could whatever these MAGAs are, could they hold on for another 4 years with him without saying, hey, we need a new quarterback?
Well, no. This is, which is good, and at the same time, and we'll get to that, Julie, but the idea is, no, his supporters have taken over the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Now, what we don't know is if Trump is forced to the sidelines. Okay, I agree with your assessment 100%. He's done. He's finished. He's over. But will the Mitt Romneys and Dick Cheneys, they're old. I mean, will they come back into play as senior advisors? What will happen, or will it fall to J.D. Vance?
Well, that's where I think you're going to see the cannibalism. You don't know who's going to win, but it's like a playoff. And we keep getting to sports analogies, but that's where you will see the two sides within that party go at, and that'd be a good thing too. I think.
Trump was hoping, I think, at one point for his daughter to be the successor. That will not happen, no matter what happens with Trump. Then he kind of focused on Donnie Jr., and Donnie Jr. is in some ways more revolting than his father, because I don't know that he's crazy. I think he's just,
he's more obnoxious than Trump. That you could.
Well, he's got that. Yeah, Trump is a buffoon. Okay, he is a buffoon, a dangerous buffoon who may win an election that he has no business being in, let alone winning. Now I want to get to what really disturbed me today, and so that's the stupid Trump. Now let's get to the disturbing Trump. Rally in Ohio, right, today? This is his quote.
That'll be interesting. But for Vance or just Ohio? Or
Trump? No, for Trump. The police aren't allowed to do their job. To stop crime, you need one really violent day. If you had one really violent day, one rough hour, the word will get out and it will end immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go full Stalin. Yeah, that would work. You could stop crime overnight. You bring the tanks out, you shoot people without.
Isn't that what he's saying? Isn't that what he's saying? I mean,
I think that's what he'd like to do.
I didn't say that.
And with the permission of the party, he would do it.
Yeah. Do you believe? And again, we don't know. We don't know what is housed inside that vacuum in his skull. But I think he would want to do that. I think if he gets in, interesting enough, I think what he remembers he said, he will probably do. And now, and as you put it, Brian, if he can, this is where it really comes into play. And we've talked about it show after show, and we'll talk about it until Trump is out of the way. Mm-hmm. What will the military do? What will the National Guard do?
What will half the military do? It may be just as split as the country.
What will law enforcement do? Okay, so we look at those three things.
Or not do. That's another thing I worry about. What law enforcement will
Absolutely
not do.
Correct, Brian. So if you look at the military, they take an oath to uphold the Constitution. Okay.
In theory.
Now they also traditionally follow the commander in chief, who is the president. How will they react to that? But there is a governor, if you will, not a governor in the state house, but
Right.
a governor over them, which is the Constitution. Now let's go to the National Guard. They are at the purpose and direction of
The governor.
the governor of the state. Now, what you look at there is most of the governors who would be willing to call out the National Guard won't, because New York, California will not. They're Democrats. But there are some states where they will single out different places. And then what will the National Guard do? The difference, or one difference is, you could send military units, and conceivably many of those in the military unit would never set foot in the state, county, or city in which they were assigned. Right?
Right.
National Guard, that's not the case. If you visited any of your state, you might be going into a city that you knew. You might have friends there. What do you do? And then you get down to the really tricky one, which is local law enforcement, and who do they respond to, and what do they respond to? And that depends on how really different cities are set up.
I think what you're alluding to is the fear that you'll have a January 6th situation everywhere.
You could conceivably. Now,
Except you're transplanting what happened at the Capitol to the state capitals.
Well,
Or even further.
I think again, I don't have any monetary interest in it, but I would urge everybody between now and their vote to look at two movies that are out. Both of them now out released. One is Civil War, and that is basically just what it says. I don't want to give away the thing, but when this is over, I will say
in that is a hot civil war in that particular case.
that is a hot civil war, definitely divided by sides, and in this case, it is clear that the president and his side are the bad guys. Then the other one is that the simulation that the Veterans for Democracy put together, and that is basically a look inside the White House, inside the Situation Room, War Room, when something like this happens, and there's rogue soldiers, different things, and it works out. I don't want to give away the ending, but I think it works out okay, but it's touch and go, and that's again, it'll come down to two things: what the leader, and when I say the leader, not necessarily the leaders, right? The president, the governor, and whoever the police report to, and it's one person. Could be the chief, right? Could be the mayor. Depends on how they're set up. And then what is the reaction of the individuals themselves?
Kind of like the Whitmer situation.
Correct. Now, you pointed out, and have pointed out on numerous occasions, they lack numbers. They really do. There's not as many people who will pick up a gun,
Right. You're right.
as say they will.
Even the worst
right?
Republicans, there are many who just don't want to get involved in that.
Yeah, they don't want that stuff. But
remember, it only took 8,000 Red Armies to take Russia too. So that's
that's what in other words, what I don't know, there are organizations that do keep tabs on that. The actual number of military-styled militias out there, how many are there evangelical hate sects that would join in this?
I'm a little bit late on the comments here, Dave.
Get up there.
It looks like T-Bone, you obviously went through the hurricane there, so.
Yeah, good. Now there's another thing that I would hope Americans would look at all over this country. If you look at Project 2025, and again, I I'm in the middle of it. I'm reading it all, but I wouldn't advise anybody else to do it. But you can get the gist of what's going on, in there. And Trump can deny it all day. There's 14 of his close associates who were involved in it, and every single right-wing Republican organization. That is the Republican platform, okay? He can deny it all he wants. That is. And what's scary about that is it wouldn't matter if, indeed, let's say Trump were assassinated, right? We don't want that to happen, but there may or may not have been 2 attempts on his life, depending on what you believe. Hey, Judy. But if he were, it's going to be picked up by the next person, right? He's going to be picked up, possibly put a low-cut filter on Dave's mic.
Yeah, Dave, next time, would you go to Amazon tonight and order a
I-
$1,000 low-cut filter?
Well, all I know is it works fine whenever I do my own podcasting. So I think it's basically your lack of ability to do. Ladies and gentlemen, some people know you pick on Brian. No, I'll give you some facts about Brian. One is for 22 years, he was the banker at Bridgeton High School. And one of his main jobs was to go to sporting events and collect the money and bring it back. And he did an exemplary job of that.
Thank you.
He was never once put in prison. But there's a little side to that. He stopped this year, and which means he no longer goes to football games. They were winless last year.
And the year before.
And the year before. And this year they are 5-0. So Brian is a catastrophe, whether he's working in the studio.
It's a false equivalence, but that's okay.
Like I said, he is the Nick Sirianni of webcasting.
Right, so Nick, you hear that?
Let's get back to this, thing about violence. There is already now. Where's the guy? Trump doesn't even watch movies. He does. That would be interesting. What does Trump do in his free time? Obviously, he tweets.
Well, he golfs a lot. We know that.
Yeah, that. But sometimes he's just a pain in the ass no matter what he does.
Because he's a misogynist, do you think he watches pornography, or does he try to, or just tries to get pornography?
I think over the years he's been able to engage in.
He's never outright said anything except for that one thing with the grabbing by the pussy type thing.
Well, that was more
crude.
like
It's very sounds pornographic,
He's a crude man. I think obviously Stormy Daniels. And the playmate. I've already said they had sex with him.
I'm surprised he even went after somebody like her, even though she was somebody in pornography and film. You figured he would just get it on the street prostitute, but I guess
no. I think why I think not, given his mindset. This has been verified, so this is not false or fake news or misinformation. Donald Trump is germ-phobic.
Yep.
And I think, but he's also probably sex-driven.
He wants a prostitute, but he doesn't want to have the possibility of gonorrhea or whatever. Right?
Yeah, and
he's not willing to pay the price for his
actually. If you follow the pornography industry, they're among the cleanest males and females in the business in terms of STDs because they get tested frequently in terms of that because their livelihood depends, on their ability to do. So maybe he thought that or did that. So does he watch pornography? I kind of doubt it. I think, and we don't know. At his age, does he have erectile dysfunction? I don't even want to think about it, but I think in the past, I would say that he had numerous women, obviously, who were willing to lay by his side or on top of him.
And there are women, we'll see somebody who has a name.
Oh, of course.
Somehow that they're desperate for
whatever. Or even well, it's it's weird. They call I live here, like I said, I technically don't live in DC, but 3 metro stops from it, and one of the nicknames of this city is it's Hollywood for ugly people. And that's kind of the truth. It's got that same air. People, senators, congressmen, certainly presidents have groupies. They do. That's the way that it works. It has always worked that way. And usually there's a connection between power and sex. That's why I think it's so important that we get females as much as possible into ruling positions, because men, that testosterone kicks in on all different ways, and it doesn't. I think we may see less violence, we may see less war, we may see more calming. We'll see, and hopefully we'll be able to see pretty quickly. Something else that happened yesterday. And I'm asking everyone out there if they're going through the same thing I am. Almost, granted, I do a lot of political research, and I'm interested in it, but a lot of things I'm running across now come through a Trump filter. So what do I mean by that? Yesterday, with friends, a couple of our friends, we went to Ford's Theater, which is, of course, where President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And it's a working theater that still does productions. And I don't know if did you ever watch Quantum Leap, the show?
I don't watch
No.
TV, Dave.
Yeah, I know you don't much. Anyway, but the star of that show, Scott Bakula, was, I did not know this, was, as many actors are, he really loved the stage, then got this TV role of a lifetime, and then just stayed with the TV roles, right? He
Who's
said, I
this
made a
again?
lot of... Scott Bakula.
I thought
He
you
was
were
the
saying
star.
Scott Baio. Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, not Scott Pitt. And so he's performing in a play called Mr. Lincoln, and it's a one-man play. And it's 90 minutes of him on stage. It hasn't been done, I think it's either 48 or 49 years since the last time it's been done in Ford's Theater. And as I was listening to him, and it's all words that Lincoln actually wrote or uttered, right? Now, the uttering comes from others, like, Mary Todd Lincoln said he said this or whatever. But, it was really well done. He was phenomenal. The staging was phenomenal. The music was phenomenal. But the whole time you're up there, you're thinking, my God, we had a president like Abraham Lincoln, and we have sunk to having a president like Donald Trump.
Right.
What the hell happened? So that was part of it.
I would wager that if Lincoln were, plopped in this country today, within 3 days, if you could keep him up with all that's happened over the last 200 years, 150 years, he would be in a better position to deal with society than Trump at this moment.
Oh, anybody would. But so there was that. I'm thinking, and the most moving moment is in the beginning and the end. He actually addresses and looks up at the president's box where John Wilkes Booth assassinated him,
You have a
or
question for
assassinated
you,
Lincoln.
Dave.
What?
You have a question.
Do it again. Put it back up. Yeah, I didn't see it.
At the polls.
Oh, Dave, what other indicators besides just me push? Okay. Let me just finish this, guy, and then put it back up, Brian, as soon as I finish. All right. So what happens is this. That was part of it. But then that was disturbing, right? But then a really nice thought came to me based on that. Now, God is not watching over America. God does not single out America for any reason. If there, we're not going to debate if there is or is. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're not his favorite people. As Lincoln points out in the Civil War, both sides had God on their side, they claim. So, that's moot. But what does seem to happen sometimes is that, at least in American history, there has a moment and a person has kind of come together, whether it was the Civil War with Abraham Lincoln, right, as the president, whether it was Depression and World War II with FDR. And so is this one of those moments to save democracy? This is every bit as dangerous and possibly more so than the Civil War.
Right.
Not
This
500
one you
not-
don't get around.
not
Then
a
you could
half
have gotten
million.
around it maybe.
Yeah, not a 500,000 people will die.
And you would, and by the way, in the Civil War, if obviously if Lincoln had decided so, he could have just said, okay, we're gonna have two countries, and that would have been that. But
Right.
now
But
Trump
it-
wants everything.
Right.
Trump would not allow the
No.
North, just the blue states
No.
to be, because he knows where most of the GDP is coming from. It's coming from the blue
So
states.
this is just a thought, and maybe it's just my thinking, but I was thinking, if indeed what we know the first part has happened. Joe Biden did one of the most courageous things any American president has ever done in history. He stepped down. You don't walk away from that kind of power. Okay?
Right.
Only one other president has ever done that, George Washington. That's it. Everybody else around their term or tried to get, that's it. So,
It's like a
and-
king abdicating his power.
yeah, but then putting
country first. I mean,
Kamala, as Trump says, he's mispronounced her name 500 different
no,
ways.
he knows there was a wrestler named Kamala.
Kamala,
So he's
yeah.
using it. Yeah, so he's using
Kamala,
that. He's being
Kamala,
nasty.
Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
Right.
So what happens is, though, wouldn't it be fascinating if 100 years from now or 5 years from now, we may still be around 5 years from now, we can look back and say this was another one of those George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, FDR moments, and we don't know yet. Now, would you put the question back up?
Sure. Sure.
Okay, other indicators. Anti-Guy, I'm going to do it this way. There aren't any anywhere. Okay, what is happening is, I've spoken frequently here in DC about polls. There are too many polls, so just forget that. And also, you have pollsters like Nate Silver, who now is more celebrity than pollster. He was kind of the hot guy. So you just put all those aside. So what do you look at? I don't think you look at anything. I mean, you look at it, but you just take it. Remember, anything's just a snapshot of the moment. There's only one thing that counts. When the votes are all counted, who won? Now, this week, it seems, what I do here, we all do our little parts, and I think I mentioned it before. I have 4 anti-Trump shirts from the previous election. I wish I saved a couple more, but I saved 4 of them. And then I went out and purchased 4 more, and then 2, actually, I guess just 1, really. 1, Harris Waltz, and I have a Harris Waltz baseball cap. And I wear one every day when I go out. And it's really interesting because, people come up to, they come up to me. I've never had, even in South Jersey, I've never had anyone confront me being a Trump supporter. When they walk by me in DC, they give me a look like, if I could, I would kill you, right? It's that kind of look. But they've never, obviously a lot, I've had dozens and dozens of, people come up and talk, some just thumbs up, some, I like your t-shirt, some, hey, can I ask you something? And this week, again, very unscientific poll, Anti-Gaia, but it was interesting. From old to young, the people seemed to really believe that Kamala is going to win and Trump is going to lose. Now, that's just a minor. So I think,
I think there's only one person who really knows that he's going to lose, and that's Trump himself. And that's the danger, because a guy who knows he's going to lose.
Well, yes, and that's a relative term. In other words, what does he consider losing? Well, I would bet Vegas odds that Kamala will win the
right, but he's going to say that it was
popular
big.
vote. Popular vote.
No matter what.
I think that she will win the electoral vote. Now we get into the problem of the challenges and the certification. So all that comes up, and there's a lot of disturbance. But Anti-Guy, I think it's a great question. We want to know. Kind of I guess kind of a funny story, sad at the same time. Jeff Bezos, is in charge of our area now because that's where Amazon's headquarters are, and he gets a lot of perks. But one thing he did, which is kind of cool, you say, well, it's a billionaire, so what? He does it in the Seattle office too. They give away free bananas, and it's kind of interesting because if you think about it, the banana is shaped sort of like the Amazon logo, so it's like a logo thing going on.
Right.
Yeah, a little bit, right? So anyway, we have one here. There's one in Pentagon City. That's a big banana truck. We have a banana cart. And the banistas, not baristas, but banistas work there. And, I go there every day because my goal is to get $1 million worth of bananas from Jeff. I'm working on that. But you become friendly with the people that are there. And I was talking to one of the ladies who works there, and she is just terrified. She's just terrified. I don't know. She said, I don't know what I'll do. It scares me. Another friend of mine says she doesn't sleep at nights. Certainly, Ronnie, your wife, certainly a very empathetic, caring person.
If Trump wins this, she's stuck.
I know people. It's kind of a joke, but I think some people really are seriously thinking about if Trump wins, can I leave the country? Should I leave the country? He will be in their history books. Sounds about our first woman president. Yeah, and you know, I think that was going to be another thing that I wanted to say. I was wearing my shirt and was in a bakery here. We have two really great bakeries. Probably weigh 600 pounds next year. But there were three young ladies, and when I say young, you know, remember I'm 72, so they were in their 30s probably. Each had young children, and they saw my shirt, and we engaged in a discussion. And they were really positive. No, they were split three ways, right? One was really, you know, comments, she's got it. This is the thing. I really believe it. I feel it. I see it. I hear it. She said, young voters, we will carry the day. Second one goes, I don't know. I'm just so worried. That, and then the third was, ooh, you know, I don't like to say it, but I think it'll be Trump. And that's where we are, right? I mean, that's a very non-scientific poll. But
Right.
Three women, relatively same age, working at the same job, involved with saving and preserving the environment is what they did.
And remember what T-Bone had said in the comments that, you know, we thought that everything was going to be okay with Hillary, but you know, you just don't know, you know, sometimes.
Well, but see, I know, but it's different.
But we do know what happened with Biden. So this time he took care of business.
No, what I'm saying is this time is different. I know it's different for me, and I think it's different for everybody. I readily admit that I did not see any way that Donald Trump could win in 2016.
Right.
I thought it was a joke.
We both felt that. I didn't
And
think there was any chance.
there was no way. And I don't know. I've never been as politically shocked as I was that night, sitting in our apartment in Atlanta. And Judy just got up and said, "I just going to bed. I don't even want to deal with this." And when it became, you know, pretty apparent. But now we've been forewarned. We've had 8 years of Trump, 4 in office, 4 out.
Which means you have to get out and vote if you.
Well,
just
and
think
something
somebody's
else
gonna
I
win.
would urge people, you know, you can't look. There's no sense. I mean, I mess around on my Facebook page. I mess around on Instagram. I mess around. Divided we stand. I treat it a little differently because that's like minds. But honestly, you're not going to change. You're not going to change a Trump supporter. It's not going to happen. So, but if you do know anyone who really, you know, hasn't made up their mind, it's worth trying to talk to them. If you have children that are of voting age, talk to them about talking to their friends. You know, and there's some, you know, people. The thing is, we're reading way too much into stuff, and sometimes just take for granted. So, in Donald Trump's inimitable way this week, caring about nothing but himself, he decides to interject himself into the Alabama-Georgia game. Now, here's the problem. Alabama-Georgia game is many times, and this was one of those times, goes a long way to determining who the national
Who's going to
champion
get the
is.
national championship? Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're the two schools right now that, you know, coming in, it's theirs to win or theirs to lose. Now, I was just at the stadium 3 weeks ago, I guess, and it's 100,000 people. And at this game, there'll be half of that number tailgating. So think about that. You've got 150,000 people in Tuscaloosa, almost all on the campus grounds. And here comes Trump. I haven't read anything about it, but you know the security arrangements had to be, you know, they had to have some extra security going through. So there's that inconvenience. There's the fact of, you know, this is football, stay the hell away, you know, that kind of stuff. So what did happen, and it happened before, he went in 2016 too, he got vigorously booed. Now, not by everyone, but that's the South, right? So, you know, maybe they were
Big
booing
thing
him.
if you're getting booed in the South.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, one thing, it shoots down that every Southerner is going to be a Trump supporter. That's one thing. Secondly, you don't know why they were booing. They might have been booing for the inconvenience of him, you know, messing up their game. But I think it really is. I think there's just too many. He's on the wrong side of. Let me do it this way. Of all the issues that affect the young, I think he's only on the side of one, on the right side. And that would be if you are a white male and feel that, you know, you are now a second-class citizen and you're not going to, you know, have the thing and you buy into Trump's rhetoric. Certainly, on every other side, he's on the wrong side. So, Brian, like you said, get the vote out. I know there are people working very, very hard to do that. Some of the good things are that, there are a number of abortion questions on the ballots across the country. That should work in Democrats' favor. There's been a really big bounce. Again, I'd say don't believe the polls, but if you put any strength or any kind of consideration to them among the down ballot candidates.
Yeah,
and now
it's translate into a
well, I don't know.
down-ballot election.
Well, here you got like John Tester. As much and I like Senator Tester. I think he's been a good senator. He could have turned out like Manchin. It's the same state, Montana, West Virginia. I mean, same kind of people for the most part. But he didn't. He is really. It's going to be hard for him. So there's one Senate seat gone, right? But very encouraging news for Texas. Not about Texas turning blue, but the Democrat challenger to Ted Cruz.
And Ted Cruz knows this again. And who's the governor? I
got
him.
Abbott. Abbott is the governor. However, it's still encouraging. I mean, and I've told you this. I tell everybody this. There's phases. The first phase is to win the election. That's the first phase. If you don't win the election, nothing happens.
Right.
Then you challenge each phase as it goes. And remember, the Republicans do tend to lie. And they're talking about they have 100.
Like all the
I think it was.
time.
Yeah. I think the number is 175,000. They have 175,000 people trained around the country to be poll workers. Okay. It could be the same as Trump the other day. Okay. Comes out. I don't know if you saw that. He made the claim that there were 40 to 50,000 people outside of the place that held 1,200 that couldn't get in. And he compared it to the crowd when Lindbergh came back from his flight. Now, ironically, Lindbergh was a fascist, but we're talking about Lindbergh when he was a hero. How does someone say that again? Well, because it's Trump. So I would be suspect of anything that comes out numbers-wise, poll-wise, but it is close. Okay, that part is true. It is close. And as we've said before, we can name them.
Judy was mentioning that in 2016 she was contemplating going to Canada with her daughter.
Oh yeah. The idea is if it really comes down, Brian, as it does every night that we do this show or we don't do the show, it's going to be in 7 states. It's going to be in 7 states, the 7 swing. And Michigan is probably going to be the toughest because of the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel vote there. My argument to any Palestinian tonight is to ask yourself this question. You might not like Joe Biden's policies. You might not like Kamala Harris's policies. But do you really think Donald Trump, who's already in bed with Netanyahu, who is a war criminal, is going to be better for your people? Is that really what you believe? But they get caught up in this, I want them out. No, it's not about getting them out. That's part of it. But what are you going to put in? That's the other side of it. Robert Kennedy, I don't think it's going to be as big a factor. I really don't. I don't think. I think I've read some things where some of his people are disenchanted. They said, "We wanted you for president. You sold your soul to Trump." Then some of them are saying, "Yeah, now it's a good thing. We'll do this, we'll do that." But of course, what may come down to play, and it would be the first time maybe in history, is the stakes of the vice presidential debate on Tuesday. Now, what do you see happening there, Brian?
I see. Well, it'll be interesting because I think that pure intelligence. I think Vance, because of his education, is certainly capable of winning the debate, but he can't win the debate because he's got to lie. He's got to be a spokesman for Trump, so he's got to actually play the dumb game and try to play around with his words, play around with his lies, to be effective for Trump. But he can't do that. And come off as a sensible person. So I think he would, under normal circumstances, it was a normal Republican Party, that he would probably have a good chance of beating Walz. Not that Walz is ignorant, but he's not going to. No, he's going to get destroyed. Vance is going to get destroyed, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I really like Walz, but what I've read about him recently, and it could just be lowering the expectations again, which politicians do all the time. But Waltz is some people who've covered him for a while said he's not a very good debater. That's not his strong suit. And that sometimes he gets frustrated, and he's even in some debates been goaded, not as much as Trump, but kind of goaded into anger. So we'll see. If Tim Waltz portrays the Tim Waltz that he has shown himself to be, that's all he has to do. That's all he has to do. Because again, winning the debate is not, the academic points scored here and this and that and the other. It's what the people believe happened. So there'll be people that believe Waltz won the debate no matter what. There were still people that believe Joe Biden won the debate against Trump. And in a way,
in a way he did in terms of content.
Yeah.
But
Right. So you've got that. And then you also have the idea of Waltz is not like other Democrats, okay? He too went to a football game. Wisconsin. Well, he didn't get booed. He got booed by Trump supporters, over there, but not by the crowd. I mean, that seems to be J.D. Vance's. Now, see, that's going to be interesting. If Vance were to have a strong place, it might be in the debate for what you said, Brian. Coming from an academic background. But where he makes a fool is when he goes into a restaurant. You see the thing, the thing they threw him out at Pennsylvania. I mean, obviously the donut shop thing. But so again, it'll be interesting to see the number of people that tune in. That'll tell us something. But we don't know who's watching that with an open mind. Who was it today? Somebody is going to escape me. Another Republican came out today. The former senator from Kansas, Republican, came out, and that's another factor we don't know. We're saying tonight this shows you that we don't know, which is really true. But obviously, Dick Cheney, Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, these people that have come out certainly have people who value their opinion, So will they, in turn, value their opinion enough to vote to keep Trump out? Trump PTs are getting more menacing. Yes, Gary, you're right. Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know how you get.
I think
you're right.
Has to be, and I mentioned that today during the games, as you probably saw during the Philadelphia Eagles game. So a lot of Trump ads were just disgusting. I said, we have to battle that immediately. I mean, that has to be, you must have to anticipate these things.
Well, they look, I mean,
I don't know how good of a job they do, Dave. I really don't. I'm talking the Democrats.
I'm sorry, say again?
The Democrats, I don't know how good of a job they've been doing. It doesn't, it's
they're
not
doing better.
They're
doing better. They're doing much better now. Okay. I really do think. Waltz came up with weird. That not only bothers.
Well, they need to continue it then. Put it in the ads.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They do.
I didn't see it today.
You got to remember. Well, you're saying the Philadelphia ads. I mean, they're not different. See, one of the things that
but they're really important because of that area. If we're going to win Pennsylvania, you've got to win Philly.
Yes, I understand that, but it comes down. I don't know how much ads influence people at this point. I really don't. I know something that doesn't. Newspaper endorsements don't. So that's meaningless. And I want to talk a little bit about journalism because this is not going down well for journalists. It's really not. And I'm tired. When Trump first came on the scene, I could say journalists didn't know how to cover Donald Trump. They didn't. Okay, I wouldn't have. And I had a dozen years in the business. But by now I would. And there's a term that's being used now, pejorative for news. It's called sane washing. I don't know if you've seen that term. It's out there a lot. And what it means is making Donald Trump look sane. Mm-hmm. As if, newspapers, there was kind of this balance, well, he said this and she said that. Now, here's where I think they're making a horrible.
I think that's a good one. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah, they're the best. I've said that. They are the best I've seen in the business on our side. There's nobody even close. But back to CBS. Yeah, they're not, the moderators are not going to fact check either candidate. They said that is a job of their opponent to fact check them. Well, Waltz wants to get his programs and projects out there. He could spend the whole debate just reacting to Vance's outlandish lies. You could spend the whole debate, and sometimes I don't know if it rings true. Look, what they've done in Springfield, Ohio, if there were a hell, and I don't believe there is, but if there were a hell, and I went there, I'd almost be happy, as long because I know Vance and Trump would be there suffering for what they've done. I mean, that it's just beyond belief to make. I mean, and to continue it. You've put a target on every dark black person in America. That's what you've done, and they don't care about it.
What do you think
And
is
Vance-
going to be? Can you foresee any super dark ad that Trump puts out in the next 2 months? I mean, where he goes so low.
Well, I mean, I think
I mean, it's been bad as it is, but what does he do?
I think Gary in his comments was on to something. He's got to go dark and negative, okay? And think about that. If he's got to go darker and more negative than where he is now, that's a very good question, Brian. What does he do? Does he just say, well, you know what? On that violence thing, I say cops. No, I think everybody should have a gun and just go, out and let's clear. Let's just, if you see someone who looks Hispanic, kill them. I mean, does he go there?
But is it to do the George Bush thing, with Dukakis? It's just
Well, here's the other thing too. You also
Willie
have
Horton.
this.
Is that Willie Horton or something?
Willie Horton was the car. But see, that came out early. So I don't know historically. Well, again, historically, the most effective, it's agreed by almost everyone, political historians agree that the single most effective political ad in the history of American politics was the Goldwater Daisy ad. And if anyone out there doesn't know what it is, just Google it. And it only ran once, and they just took it off, and that was that effective. Trump can't come up with anything like that. We don't really.
Well, we
know.
don't know.
We
don't
don't
know. He's
No. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he can't. Because he doesn't have the people surrounding him. The best minds for ads in the Republican Party are working with the Lincoln Project. There's not, and Trump. Remember, Trump also has that ability to fuck up everything he touches. It's like the King Midas touch in reverse. Everything turns to shit.
Right.
And I'm sure he wouldn't let a big ad go without, his oversight of it. And I was on The Apprentice. I'm a TV star. I can do this. I can do that. But what worries me as much, or maybe even more, because this falls to the people, is Elon Musk is a traitor to America. No question in my mind. Why do I say that? Spend some time on X. And a good thing is a lot of people are pulling off of X, and that's good. I wouldn't, I stay there just simply, I do not comment anymore. I just stay there to watch the loonies and see what they're talking about. But here's something that ran on X, and I want to pull it up here. We're in this violent period. We've got the assassinations going, and this broke 2 days ago, I think. Urgent, capital letters, right? Trump's plane is the next target for assassination. 9 heat-seeking missiles have been smuggled into the U.S. for this purpose. And there are 3 teams already inside the country. Now, how many people look at that and believe that that's true and react to that? I don't think many. I mean, I think the ones that react to it are the people that are already Trumpers. I don't think others don't. But then you get to Mr. Musk himself, and remember, he's talked about, we'll keep this clean. Here's his most recent tweet that he I still call them tweets, and I'm going to. Fuck you, Elon Musk. Here's this one today. Very few Americans realize that if Trump is not elected, not in all caps, this will be the last election. Far from being a threat to democracy, he is the only way to save it. Now, Trump has already said Elon Musk will have a place in his administration if he wins.
Robert Kennedy Jr.
The cabinet, yes. And can you imagine Robert Kennedy Jr. as head of Health and Human Services? That's what he wants.
I just can't. I can't imagine him head of anything.
But so you just have the bad guys. There's really only one. There's only one side to this. If anybody, I would defy anyone to show me a Trump person at a public popular level. I'm not talking about your grandfather, or whatever. I'm talking about somebody who is public, who has redeeming qualities. I don't see it. Is it Marjorie Taylor Greene, who now has come out? She's like suddenly moving, like attacking. But a lot of hers is her fight with Laura Loomer
for a while.
Well, no, because there's things going on. She got burnt on another tweet about some false threat. But I don't think she's worried about her election. Lauren Boebert has also been quiet recently, but she should win her election. Laura Loomer has been banned, I guess, from the Trump campaign. She was out there with him. She served her purpose or whatever. I said of that trilogy, I'll throw Katie Britt from Alabama in that group. Certainly Kristi Noem. Women for Trump. You know what though? Because they're bad women, and women can be bad too. Because they're bad women, they start catfighting with each other, But Marjorie Taylor Greene's been saying some things that are either she's just doing it for power. Let's see what Ichabod has here about Musk. Musk could be search of accounts.
Yeah, they've been using the Russians have been using Starlink too. So they thought it was just Ukraine. So you can see how he's doing everybody in. I mean, he's just
And the sad part is, just like there are people who believe Trump is a success, there are people that believe Elon Musk is a success. Having money, which Elon Musk does,
success as a grifter, not as a human being.
And that's
the problem, because that's exactly the way people think today. Is that if somebody's successful in their pockets, that makes them a successful person, and that is the idiocy in this country.
Well, it doesn't help with these charges, even though Democrats. Let's take Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. He's going down. He's going down in flames, right?
Yeah.
Now it does one thing, but it doesn't. But it does the opposite. So what do I mean by that? It certainly disproves that the Biden administration, which doesn't have anything to do with the charges against Adams, is only out to get Republicans. So it helps in that sense, right? Mm-hmm. On the sense it doesn't, see, they're all like that. All those Democrats are like Eric Adams. So you get it on both sides. P. Diddy enters into this. Puff Daddy. I was talking to a small group here of people who are involved somewhat in the entertainment industry here on East Coast, but also, and there's some real concern. They say that could be, they think that could be even more damaging than the Epstein. And we know that they have serious stuff on them because they deny bail. I don't really follow it enough to know. I got to get home. My grandson's away. When he comes back, I got to talk to him because he follows that, kind of as the hip hop controversy. So, but you've got, it just continues to swirl, and then it's all amplified by social media. And it isn't helped that news organizations on TV are now definitely on one side or the other, right? and you have newspapers are ineffective. The New York Times is trashy right now. The Washington Post is embroiled in internal problems. Local papers aren't there. That's something, Brian, that I think I said. That newspaper endorsements didn't affect much. But the one thing it did have, like say take Bridgeton. I mean, I worked for the small hometown paper there for 3 years. People kind of said they would read an editorial in the Bridgeton Evening News and believe it more, than necessarily the New York Times or something like that. Yes, Judy, you and I know that is not true. If there's just so many myths, Brian, too, and there's no way to dispel them. More white people get welfare than the list just goes on and on and on. Immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than American citizens.
Right.
But these are not, and
Right. All
these
they
are the
have to do
ones.
is just show, they show impact during the game today. They showed one image of somebody who killed somebody or something. And say, look at this.
And that's it.
And that
So
was that McCormick for governor of Pennsylvania
right. Well,
or senator. No, it was McCormick's for senator, isn't he?
Senator, yeah.
Against Casey. So
and
whatever he's
again,
going against Casey. Bob Casey.
we shall see. Political decisions do have ramifications. There's still people that said, Kamala should have taken Shapiro. I'm not one of them. I think she got the right person for the
Well,
job.
it's already done anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, but what I'm saying, but even so, I mean, if you want to analyze, Shapiro could be more effective for her remaining governor.
I
of
don't think it would have
Pennsylvania.
mattered a whole hell of a lot. I think she made the better decision.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Waltz brings more to it, and he doesn't.
We'll find out for sure tomorrow, Tuesday night.
Right. Now, is it correct? Diddy went down faster than MAGA criminals. Well, we know why, Ichabod, too, right? Why do you think that is? It doesn't matter how many billions you have. If you have billions and you're white, you're going to get one set of treatments. If you have billions and you're black or Hispanic, you're going to get a second set.
Well, look who the judges are usually.
Well, it's just the idea
And of course the jury too. So, and also it also depends on whether it's in the South or the North. It tends to have more in the South. Than the
Well, of course, but in general, well, look at the most recent execution.
governors from these states
most-
that are red. They, how many times they pardon somebody or they pardon people like Stone. And
Well, look at the most recent execution. What, 3 days ago? I guess 4 days ago, whatever it was. They could not. They had new evidence. It kind of exonerated him. The prosecutors didn't want him to face the death penalty. Everybody, but they couldn't pull back, and the Supreme Court said, "Nope, go for it." So, yes, Ichabod. I would say, we'll never know what kind of Supreme Court justice he'd make. And please, Kamala, if you get it, don't put him in there. He blew his shot.
he blew it. That's it. Don't ever put him in there. In fact, she has to get rid of him on day one. Just unload him. He's kind of like Comey and the rest of them. They did no good. They did all harm. Trying to rationalize what they did.
Whatever, right? Whatever. We don't know. So we just got a couple minutes. So if anybody wants to throw a comment up there,
Yeah, we do have to end
question,
in a minute, Dave. So we're
Yeah. So, but okay, Brian. So, same question. We kind of end with it every time. More worried, less worried. Where do you stand on this Sunday night? 9:00. What's it? 9:05, 9:04, whatever the hell it is.
I think my level of worry has always been the same. I don't trust them. I can't even quantify it, but I definitely am not more worried. I'm not less worried either. I mean, you just know that you don't know, and that's why you should be just as worried, because you really don't know what he's capable of until it happens, and then you're really worried. But right now, no, I don't think he's, like you said, I think she's going to win the popular vote. I think she may win by 8 million votes. I don't know if she can do that, but it's possible. But that's not going to matter much because it's all the Electoral College. So we'll just have to see.
And again, I'm gonna interject one thing in there. I agree with you, but it's those 7 states,
Right.
and what do they do? Because nobody cares, and there's all these scenarios like Nebraska said it will split its votes, electoral college, because what Nebraska and Maine split them. Maine's that doesn't matter. It won't come down to that.
They have their own area,
But we do know a couple things, not to worry about it, but we do know a couple things. If it goes to the House of Representatives, the Republican candidate will win. That's what's going to happen. That's a given. If it goes to the Supreme Court, right now it seems to dictate that it would go to Trump. But there's always a chance.
No, I would even go further than that. I can guarantee, no matter what, it will go to Trump, because that's when John Roberts will come through, and that's it.
Well,
that's
he's already
Supreme Court.
He's
You've got to win outright, because both of those things are going to happen. I
have to admit that I had not faith in John Roberts, the justice, but faith in John Roberts, the head justice, just that he would worry about the reputation of his court, and he's proved just in the last term.
He doesn't.
He doesn't care. And what he does is he works a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been effective in our side, that's for sure.
No. Well,
all right, Dave, we're going to have to wrap it up, okay?
What Brian's saying is, as much as he says, "Oh, you're our family," and he cares more. Oh, you should. I was going to say he cares more about his students. I guess you should do that. Never mind. Forget what I said.
I do. I have to.
Do we get everybody's comments up? That's all.
Yeah, we got everybody. I mean, we might have missed one or two, but these are all the important comments are up. So, but we should remind you, we might be going on after the debate on what
we're
Wednesday.
No mites about it. 8 p.m. Wednesday or 7. What do you want to do?
All right, that sounds good. I think. Well, I'll tell you later. I mean,
yeah.
Sure
but either and let everybody know it'll be 7 or 8 live.
It will not be 9.
And what we'll do is post what?
It won't be 9 o'clock. That's
no
sure.
7 or 8. We'll post it out there.
Right, that would be a good idea, Jeff. That would really fuck Trump.
That would be good. That'd be very interesting.
Good. I'd like to see that.
All right, everyone. Right. Thank you.
All right,
thank you again.
And,
we appreciate it, and we'll see you again.
All right. See you
after the.